Actually going to pivot because I thought that this was going to be all UCLA students, but now I understand that many of you are still at your community college. So I'm going to pivot and really start with what I heard earlier about Teddy Perez offered. I felt like I was supported for my queer identity, but I wasn't supported for my person of color identity. So I want to really follow up with that. But what I have going, I want to start with mentorship is really important. And I'm going to uplift my mentor, Dr. Jennifer Antoinette Noble, because if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have been able to heal in a way to boss up academically, intellectually, and with the self care that I've been able to maintain for myself. And it is so important. And I want to start with it is really hard to be who you cannot see. And I learned this in her class, The Psychology of the African American, Psych 29. And we watched a documentary called Boys of Baraka. And in that, it said, it is really hard to be who you cannot see. And that hit me because I remember when she first walked into the room, I had never had a professor who was young, Black, identified as she, her queen, and also was affirming in her curriculum. Her curriculum was holistic. It wasn't just like oh, we're going to have Queer Week today to talk about queer advocacy and we're never going to talk about it again. Her curriculum was open, holistic. And that to me, seeing myself represented, seeing myself affirmed was life changing. I didn't go back to school till 28 because I did not think I was college material. I drove a bus and worked in transportation for 11 years because after high school, which I barely graduated with a 2.0, I really did not think I was college material. So I went into the workforce because I knew that I needed to get that paycheck, that those benefits, and that pension. That's how I was raised, right? That workhorse mentality. But I wasn't happy. I was managing depression and I just wasn't seeing myself. So I went back to school. And when Noble walked into the classroom, when I saw myself at the front of the class, that completely changed how I saw who I was and what I was capable of doing. And so mentorship is really important, right? And so she really opened me up. And I remember just going into office hours like, hi again, hi again, hi again, hi again. And eventually I became her TA. And I remember asking her one time, because just watching her speak, I was just so inspired. And I asked her, what made you be such an intentional ally? Which right now, she really didn't even like that term. She's an active affirmer. But I asked her, what makes you an intentional ally? And she says, well, I just think that everyone should be treated like a good person. And that was her answer, her legitimate answer. And I had to go within myself and really self reflect of why did I even ask her that question? Because my life experience was if someone meets me and treats me just like a human and isn't worried that I'm going to hit on them or isn't worried that I'm going to be contagious and my queerness is just going to rub off on you or your children or whatever, and you're just meeting me as who I am as a human, you usually have a cousin or you have a sister or maybe you identify as such or your parents. And so I realized that that was trauma. I was walking in the world expecting everyone to see something wrong with me and being scared of me, being uncomfortable with me, thinking like I'm icky, like, wait a minute, 6 feet. I mean, we really do got to do 6 feet now. It's COVID. But before, it was like, wait a minute. Look, can we just shake hands? Because I don't know if I hug you, you might feel some kind of way. And I am the hugest hugger. And I remember I used to didn't hug people because I didn't want them to feel uncomfortable. I didn't want them to feel like I was hitting on them. And so I realized when her answer was, I think everyone should be treated human, I was just like, you know what? I need to see myself as a human first. I need to see myself as the beauty that I stand in and walk in the world that way. And if someone sees me as something different, that's some healing that they got to go through. And that's not my responsibility. And I really wish them well. And I hope they find that healing. So mentorship is really important. And I also want to talk about taking advantage of resources. When I was at PCC, I was in the transfer center, whether I was in AGS, I was in the social science learning center. Take advantage of resources and really listen to the people who are showing up for you, not the people who are trying to check quota boxes, because I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Listen to the people who are really showing up for you and go back to them because they want to help you. If you had a wonderful experience with a counselor, go back to that counselor. Don't go to the counselors that all of a sudden have this thing in the quad talking about, see, you're outreaching to Black students. And I've never been in your office. I didn't even know you worked here. How are you leading this endeavor and I don't know who you are? Wait a minute. Hold on. Go back to the ones that are really in your corner. And I want to open that one up right there. My experience at Pasadena City College was amazing. I am not going to lie, it changed my life. but I also was driven. I quit my job, I cashed out my 401k, and I had no pension left. All of the eggs or whatever it is was in that basket. So I was not taking no for an answer. So I had amazing support because I advocated for myself. But I am not going to lie and say there were not issues. But at the end of this particular presentation, I do want to talk about what anti-Blackness is and what anti-Blackness is not, and how anti-Blackness hurts the collective as a whole. But before I get there, I had so many wonderful experiences at PCC and so many wonderful people. But I kept going back to the ones who I felt you are here for me. It didn't matter what you look like, but I feel you. And I felt the ones who were like, oh no, I support Black students. Really? Do you know my name? Okay, interesting. I feel that. But I'm going to go back to the ones that really, really, really are looking out for me, right? When I got to UCLA and I still worked at PCC, I created an event called On the Yard. And I'm going to be all the way real because I don't work there anymore. Like I said, love it, grateful, and I appreciate everything I learned, the beautiful people that I met. I created a flyer for my On the Yard. And oh, Santi, you dropped something. Hold on, I wrote it down. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? We find the ways of doing for us what nobody else is doing. Yo, that hit me so hard because the point on the yard is to take the excellence and the ambiance of Black excellence from the HBCUs and bring it to the quad. And by telling people to come out of the office. And right now it's COVID, so you can't be going to nobody's office. But when the world opens back up, I really want to challenge faculty, staff, counselors. Stop sending people to a room. Stop sending students to a phone number, a website. Go to students, you know? And so On the Yard was to get everyone out. I want counselors here. I want faculty here. I want student. I want anyone here. I want people that work in the transfer center. I want admissions and records. I want everyone here accessible to these students. Because as a Black student myself, I remember standing those counseling hours for 3 hours. I get there for 15 minutes and now I got to go wait in financial aid for 2 hours. How is that sustainable? And because I was adult, I was like, well, I ain't got nothing else to do. I just quit my job. So I might as well stand in this line. I can't even imagine how difficult that would be if I was right out of high school and I was 18 and 19 and I did not have the voice that I do now because of the experiences I've had. And so when I created my first flyer, created the flyer, and at the bottom, took it from the website, and it says, Transfer Bound is a program focused on the academic, is for all students and focuses on the academic success of African American and Black diasporic students. That line from the website was crossed out and told that it was exclusionary. It does not seem like all students are welcome. And the sentence started with that. And the issue and why it hurts so bad is because I work in the transfer center, so I worked with every single demographic. If you are a student, I'm helping you with your application, I'm helping you with the essay, and if I can't help you, I'm walking you to someone who can. But that hurt because there are so many programs that are MESA, Puente, and certain things which they should be there, rightfully so. Because you know what that says? It says this program is here for you. This program is here for your demographic. But I never felt that same energy when it was something that was specifically outreaching to Black students. I did not feel that even as a Black student, and that was heartbreaking. And that's when I knew I needed to do something with my education because I need to understand this because this doesn't make any sense. We all need to be uplifting every single student, and each demographic needs a very distinct type of help to then overcome the historical and social economic oppressions and challenges that particular demographic has. So because of my mentor, cool, I got 10 minutes. When I transferred from PCC to UCLA, I optimized my student loans and I traveled abroad because that is what Noble said. You need to travel abroad, expand your mind. And I did. And I went to London and I stayed there for 9 weeks. And all I did was go to museums, libraries. I mean, I went to bars too. But my whole point was to experience Blackness somewhere else because I had never known what that was. I wanted to see myself in the life experiences of what other people look like when they look like me. I wanted to see what that is. And when I experienced that, and I was like, yo, squad, wait a minute, this is lit. I was able to come back and say, all of my academics is going to be geared towards understanding myself on a global scale. And so I came back, transferred to UCLA, and everything was about that. I saw one flyer. Now, when I was at PCC, I bossed up. I was an AGS, Psych Club. I was a statistics tutor, a psychology tutor. I just bossed up. I didn't have nothing else to do, y'all. I quit my job, so I had a lot of time. Okay, I had a lot of time on my hands. Okay, when I got to UCLA, I was now working again and commuting, so I didn't have as much time. So I didn't join any clubs. I didn't really even realize or really get exposed to the LGBTQ Resource Center until I came back for my abroad program, which I'm about to lead into. But I checked one email. I joined one program, AAP. I'm still going to shout out. I joined one program and I checked one email and I saw study abroad. It was a 2-part program, BEST, Black Europe Summer School, and Decolonizing Europe. Mind blown. I'm sorry, that's a thing? That's awesome. There's no way I'm going to be able to afford it, though. I'm working now, so I don't really get full financial aid. There's no way. Fully funded and paid for after you apply. So guess who I called? This wonderful, beautiful human that is facilitating this particular conference. I called Santi and I said, yo, bro, is this a real thing? Like, really? He was like, yes, you need to apply. And I said, well, if I'm going to apply, what I want to know is what it's like to be Black and queer in the Netherlands and how colonialism affects your particular experience and identity based on how my colonial history affects me as a Black queer woman, right? Because there's privilege there. We got rainbow sidewalks around the corner from UCLA. That's not everywhere. So to be aware that I still have privilege of the accessibility that I have regarding my identities, I wanted to see what it's like where people don't have rainbow sidewalks and they identify and look like me. I applied, I was accepted, and I went. It was a life-changing experience, and I honestly can do an entire keynote speech on everything I learned about that. But my one of my biggest takeaway in healing is when I understand the function of anti-Blackness. There was so much healing in that because I just didn't heal myself. I was able to assist others in healing when you really understand the deplorable nature of what anti-Blackness is. Because what it sounds like, because this word, its term is not going anywhere because it's been a phenomenon that's been here since colonialism. What anti-Blackness is the deplorable, hold on, I wrote this down. Hold on, I got to read this one. Hold on, I wrote this one down. The deplorable, hold on, I got you. There we go. The deplorable way that white supremacy and systemic anti-Black racism operates. Anti-Blackness is the function that operates white supremacy and systemic anti-Black racism. It is the function. And that is the function that hurts humanity as a whole. What anti-Blackness is not, is saying anti-Black people only. What it is not saying is that racism only affects Black people. What it is saying is that this is a term that describes the phenomenon of the one lie that we have all been told. The one lie, that our worth is outside of ourself. That our worth is outside of ourself. That our worth is proximity to whiteness and the furthest away from Blackness you can get. And that doesn't necessarily mean Black people. It means whatever you've been told about Blackness, whatever you've been told not to do in an interview, whatever you've been told not to speak light, whatever you've been told that, oh, your lighter hue is admired more. That is based on anti-Blackness. And the reason why that's a problem is every single human, our worth is our birthright. And if we are looking to be worthy based on proximity to something else, that is healing that is needed. That is healing that is needed. If a white vessel feels worthy just because they're white, that is healing that is needed. If any non-Black person of color feels that they're more worthy just because they're not Black, that is healing that is needed. And if a Black person is trying to be something other than they are not, because that is what's favored, that is healing that is needed. And we see that through and through and through in higher education. And so then I want to go into how I experienced it and what you most likely will still experience, because we coming. People, we are coming. We are standing up for ourselves. We are standing in our power. But one thing I want you to know is stand in your power and don't let anyone else define you. And I want to say that because through the beautiful things I've been able to experience, there were things that were hurtful, things that stung, and things I wanted to hold on to. I was able to be printed in magazines at UCLA. I've been featured in so many different things, and I'm honored when I'm asked to come back and speak. But what I'm noticing now is when I'm asked to speak in other places, there are honorariums or there are things that show me my time is valued. What it started feeling like to me is that you value my story, but are you still valuing my human? Are you still valuing who I am? And that doesn't feel good, to feel like you see me just as my story. My story is one part of me. My story does not define my holistic person. And one example in particular, Janet Napolitano, got it. Janet Napolitano shared my story at this huge conference called NASPA, which I was actually working when I was employed at PCC. And I had no idea that she knew about my story, that my story was going to be used, until I came back into work. And squad, Cinnamon to this day, thank you. And Cinnamon, I'm walking, and she's going, oh my God, congratulations. And I'm like, oh my God, girl, what? What happened? What? And she was like, oh, NASPA. I was like, oh yeah, I was doing the workshop. And she was like, no. What she just shared your story. I was like, who? And she was like, Sequoia, the head. I was like, oh no, wait, what? Are you serious? And she was like, yeah, congratulations. I was happy and hurt at the same time. I would have loved to be able to call my mom and say, yo, mom, guess what just happened? I was working the event, but in the other room, yo, my story was being shared. Yo, I did it. I would have loved to be able to do that. And so that hurt, but what it did is remind me to keep going. And so I could tell people, when they ask you to share your story, share it, but do not let them define your story, because the collective needs to hear it. I have heard other students speak. I have heard other people share their stories. And if it was not for them being bold enough to share their stories, if it wasn't not for them leveraging the tokenization to still stand into it and say, this doesn't feel good, but my people need to hear it. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to stand here with this passion and this desire to be heard, because the collective needs to hear me, because I have heard others. And I'm sharing their stories through myself, and I want you to do the same. So if and when you feel tokenized, or when those hoops that you have to jump through are available and you jump through them, know that those hoops do not define you. You define those hoops. And you leverage those hoops to keep standing in your power. And you access those resources that are given, and you leverage that to build yourself up. And always pay homage, show gratitude for the resources that are offered, but know that the power is yours. Your story is yours. UCLA would not be the wonderful institution it is if it wasn't for wonderful, powerful people like you. And know that struggle will equip you for life significantly more than if everything was paid for you when you came out the womb. You are already equipped with so many things that are going to set you up for success, whether you know it or not. Struggle equips you significantly more than privilege. Please understand that and step in your power, because I need you to, your family needs you to, your loved ones need you to, the next generation needs you to, and the collective needs you to. So I want to leave with that. Exactly. Resilience is everything. I want to leave with that because I got 48 seconds. Look at that, y'all. Whew, I actually made it in 20 minutes. Whew, okay. All right. I'm actually proud of myself. Resilience is everything. Okay. And hurt people hurt people. When I was first said to me, it was hurt in a defensive way. Like, just take it. And that hurt. But now I understand that it's true. Do not take on other people's hurt. Don't take it on. You focus on your healing, and by default, others will heal with you. Do not take on other people's hurt. Focus on your healing, your happiness, putting positivity into the world, and by default, your light will allow others to shine brighter. So we need you. We need you to shine. So I'm going to leave it right there because I'm at 4 seconds. And yeah, so I guess I'm going to go. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Look at that. That's the timer. So I hope that's good. I actually had to pivot because I didn't know that there were also community college students here. So I really just kind of wung it. But I hope that my passion, my dedication, and I hope you walk out of here knowing that your worth is outside nothing other than yourself. You were put into this world with every single thing you already need, no matter what anyone says. So always remember that and stand in your power. Oh, thank you. Do you have a podcast? I don't, not yet. I'm working on it though.
Oh my goodness. Whew. Oof, 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 oof. My goodness, my goodness. If this is what you do, just like, with a few minutes of preparation and with just, a week, notice, it is no wonder you get paid to do this. It is no wonder you get to pay to do this because you have acquired, you have something acquired and it's valuable and you're precious and you are so important to our community and we need to value you. We need to be able to value you and to I'm embarrassed that we're not providing you with that, but I can tell you that I am giving you all the love that my heart contains because sister, I love you so much. I
And
just
the
love you
reason
so
why I
much.
keep coming back, Santi, is not because it's not a gift. It's because even after I graduated, you were inviting me to dinners. Hey, the Amsterdam Click, you want to come? You were like, hey, you want to come? Yes, heck yes, I want to come. Hey, there's going to be a workshop here. Do you want to attend? Because I think this will feed you. You kept watering me. So yes, I'm going to come back here. But I also want to share because if this does happen to other people, I want you to stand in your power and say, wait a minute, my time is valuable. My time is worth being paid for. My story is worth being paid for because I lived that. I did those struggles. I rose above that. I did that. That's why that paper was able to be published. So that's why I want to share that because I healed from that. Oh, I'm mad. It's part of the system. But I'm happy and I want everyone else to stand in their power and say, stand in your power and make sure you define yourself. Just please. So that's why I want to share that, not to uplift something negative, but to uplift something so positive, to make sure that you reach in and uplift that so we see that light.
Thank you, 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 thank you. And there's not enough thank yous in the universe to tell you how I feel right now. Just you cultivate me as well. So, you know, what can I say? And this is what we need to all do. We need to surround ourselves with the people who do value us, who do see our worth, who do see what we do, not only for them, but for the community, right? That's really how we need to surround ourselves with these folks. And I'm not rich in money. I mean, the our salaries are public information, so you can actually look my salary up if you wanna, and you'll be able to see what I make, what we all make at UCLA because it's public information. But what I'm rich in is the love and wisdom of people like Sequoia. I mean, that's I feel myself blessed that I'm able to say that. I really do. So thank you, Sequoia. Until we're gonna hang out soon. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
we're doing that. We're doing that. So and all of you, please surround yourselves with people who uplift you.
Yes. I'm gonna get out of here. I love you all. I love you all. Please love yourself because we deserve you to love yourself. The collective deserves that. And I did drop my Instagram. I did try to start a podcast. So if you're interested, I'm still working on it. But I did drop my Instagram. So if you want to reach out, I can shoot you my email. We can keep in contact. So yes. So thank you for having me. I love you, Santi. And we could do that forever. So I need to go.
Yeah, I know. No, you hang up. No, you hang up.
I know, you hang up. Yeah, exactly. Bye, everyone.